Hi there, today we're making this sweet little Foxberry Jam Jar. It's such a fun project to customize and I love the way that the diamond panels give it that realistic look. And you can really play with the paper on the lid for a homespun touch. It even opens up so it's perfect for tucking in a little treat. So these were all the pieces to make the jam jar. It has 8 sides, so there are 8 of this piece and 8 of this piece. The lid, 2 of these to make up the bottom, and then the parts that make up the cute label. I really like the way it looks when it has a texture, especially anything that's a crisscross or a diamond texture. So I'm going to go ahead and use my embossing machine on these 8 rectangles to give them that texture. And as you can see, it also looks really good when they're a little shimmery or pearlescent too, to make it look shiny and therefore more realistic. Somebody's sleeping on the job. Sleeping on the job. So I've got my embossing machine out and I use a Sizzix Big Shot. There are lots of other embossing machines out there. They all pretty much, from what I understand, work the same. So I have some of my recently used embossing folders here, and they are just different textures that you can add to paper pieces. And this is the one I'm going to use now. This is by Couture Creations, called Tied Together. But again, I think really any texture, especially some kind of crisscross or diamond, is going to look good. Something that I've started doing recently after 16 years of embossing is spritzing my pieces with some water, which just makes them a little more malleable and less likely to crack. Because sometimes with the dry paper, they can actually crack a little bit under all the pressure from the embossing machine. So this is optional, but I have found that it makes it a little bit better of a process. I'm using a mini mister, but you could certainly use any kind of water spraying device. I'm sure would be fine. This is handy, though. I do like it. So I'll just lightly mist both sides. And then my paper's only shiny and shimmery on one side, so I want that side to be facing up. And let me see, on this I do have the texture going in. I want to make sure I do it the same way. This, it would be popping out, so I'm going to flip this over. I don't think it really matters, but what I will also do is, for my particular embossing folder, I'm going to line the corner up with these two, and it just happens to line up at the bottom with the two centers also. So if I do them all the same way, I think it's going to have really nice consistency through each of the pieces. So I'll just show you how one works, and then I'll go ahead and do the rest of them real quick. So all the embossing machines might work slightly differently, but mine goes in between 2 plates, and then you crank it through, and voila, it looks really nice. So I'll go ahead and do that to the other 7 rectangles. So there we go. I really like this. It's a nice effect. Next we can glue each one of these onto each one of these. And just to be able to kind of see better where it's going, I'm just going to gently crease those fold lines so you can really see the rectangle where you're going to glue this. And there's not much of a border around the edge. It really just takes up that whole space. So we're going to glue it on there, but we're going to make sure that it's really centered, especially on the sides here. Because if it's going over the side a little bit, then when you glue the next one on, it might kind of get in the way. So let's just be nice and precise with that. So again, just gonna fold each of these gently just to kind of get it started. And like I said, to see where that main rectangle is. I got this shimmer paper from 12 by 12 Cardstock Shop. They have such a nice selection of all kinds of paper and cardstock. I feel like they have the biggest selection that I've really seen of shimmer paper. I really just used to only get my shimmer paper at Michael's out of convenience when I was there, and they really just used to always have dark brown, black, and ivory, which you can do a lot with those colors, but now that I've been getting other colors of shimmer paper, it's a lot of fun. Okay, so I'm gonna glue these on, and as usual, I'm using Scotch Quick Dry Tacky Glue, which I like because it's easy to find, usually where craft supplies are sold, and it dries pretty quickly, pretty clear, and the precision nozzle is handy. But I feel like you kind of get all those features with just about any kind of like paper crafting glue. So I'm not saying it's the only glue. A lot of people, including myself, also like Barely Art precision glue and art glitter glue, not just for glitter. So tell me in the comments if you have a favorite glue, what it is. I've been using this same glue for over 16 years now, maybe longer. Although I have heard some rumblings that it's been hard for some people to find this glue. So that's a little concerning. I hope it doesn't go anywhere. Just like how handy it is to find. I have bought it in the past at Michael's, Hobby Lobby. Probably other big box stores even have it. And on Amazon. It's just nice to know that if I need some, I can grab it while I'm out. I don't have to plan ahead too much on my glue inventory, just knowing that I can get some more of this stuff if I need to. And sometimes it comes in a red bottle with a red label. Well, it comes in a white bottle with a red label too, but it's the same glue. It's also nice because there's no special maintenance with it, really. Sometimes if it gets clogged, I just kind of jab at it with a safety pin or a pin. Some of the other glue, they recommend that you rinse it after each use, the tip, which is not a huge deal, but I just prefer fewer requirements, I guess. Kind of like when a dish is like hand wash only. It's kind of a turn off for me because I feel like kitchen cleanup takes so much time and effort as it is without having stuff that you can't just throw in the dishwasher. But that's just me personally. Okay. I can't wait to see how you make your jam jar. It's also a lot of fun to customize the lid since there are so many cute plaids. I think plaid or like a little delicate floral pattern would look cute. Pretty much anything's gonna look really cute for the lid, especially when it kind of all coordinates. I picked this color because I figured it looks like a jam color, and because this color is in the color palette of the patterned paper that I picked out, which is Harvest by Cartabella. So no shock there that a deep maroon is part of a fall color palette. But I usually do like to pick out the patterned paper that I'm going to use first. That way I can use its color palette to pick out my solid color paper. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is glue these together side to side. But before we do that, if you have some kind of tool like this is my bone folder. It's actually plastic. But if you have a straight edge or a bone folder, now's a good time to maybe crease this long tab up here. Later, we're going to be gluing this straight over to finish it off. So just to make our lives easier, it might be nice to go ahead and just give that a nice sharp crease so that it's ready for you when you are ready for it. The rest of them don't need to be so sharply creased. So in no particular order, we're going to glue these together side to side using both of these tabs here. I'll just carefully line this up. Let it take hold for a minute. And then this one really does kind of just fall into place. You just line up the edge with the fold. And that's it. It's pretty straightforward and easy. We'll just keep doing that all the way around with all 8 sides. Something else I like to do, optional, but I just have a pin handy if there's some glue oozing out the seam. Sometimes I will just scrape it off. But since it dries clear, it's really not a big deal. Sorry about my crusty pin up close. So it's already taking shape and looking really nice. This wine color, I think it's actually called cranberry. I'll link to it on my website for this project, on the page for this design. It's a really nice, cozy, rich color. When I first designed this project, I made it without the panels, and it was okay, it was cute, but then I went back and added the rectangular panels so that I could do some embossing, and that really made all the difference. So if you're on the fence about embossing, it's definitely a nice technique to be able to have in your arsenal of crafting abilities. The machines can be kind of expensive. Like nowadays, the Sizzix Big Shot, every once in a while I check and it looks like it's around $100. So I feel like back in the day, a good embossing machine used to just be like maybe 40, which was a little more reasonable, I think. But it is really nice, and people do actually use it for manual die cutting too. So it is a nice machine that should last a long time. There are also some like non-name brand embossing machines on Amazon, but I haven't ever tried one or heard anyone's review about them personally, so I don't know. You'll have to keep me posted on your thoughts about embossing machines. But there are lots of cool folders out there. I think the embossing folders that I use most often, and the folders are what gives it the texture, obviously. The textures that I like the most, or that I use most often, are probably like the wood grain. Wood grain is really cool. Stripes can be handy. But a lot of times just any texture, regardless of what it specifically is, looks really cool. I really have never had an instance of going wrong with embossing a texture onto something. Like, always looks really good, no matter what the texture actually is, in my opinion. All right. So we could go ahead and glue these over. just do it like this. Just like that. Okay, so there's my top edge all folded over. I've still got the bottom. So now these two are the same, and one goes on the inside and one goes on the outside. So it's a little bit of like personal preference how you want to do this. You could, if you're going to protect your work surface, because we might get some glue on your work surface, you could technically put glue around the outside and just drop this in either way, any orientation. It might not be as perfectly super precise, but it does kind of just fall right into place. And then you can press it down from the inside. Then you can flip it over and you would just glue the other one on. Or if you want to be a little bit more precise, you could anchor this on one side first and then glue it down. I'm not sure. I feel like both methods would work equally well. So I'm going to grab my scrap paper. Here, I have some scrap paper. So I want to keep my other paper from getting all weird right now. I'm going to do the drop it on the inside method. So I'll just do this, and then we'll just drop it down there. And I'll just kind of like loosely press it. Oop. Okay. Let's try that again. I'm going to loosely press it into place and then check it from the other side to make sure that nothing strange is happening. Okay, this is working a little bit less perfectly this time. Maybe I'll just press it a little bit and then take a look. Kind of rotate it around while I look at it. I'm going to check it. Yeah. Okay. Well, my hand's blocking the view for you, but just pressing all those tabs down. They seem to be aligned well enough. So now we just need them to make contact and be good. Looks good. Now I can just glue this on. I think I might put the glue on here. Nice and easy. Just like that. Okay, so next, let's do the lid, which is pretty straightforward here. I'm just gonna gently bend each of these. And since my paper is white core, meaning that the edges are all white and then the fold lines are really white. I'm going to be taking my trusty ink pad, and I could totally do it with just a brown. I feel like brown works for like every situation. But since this color is really close to the main color of my paper, I think I'm gonna do this and just kind of heavily dab at it just to turn that white into like this mustardy color that the rest of it is. And it's kind of a little bit of an extra step, but it's gonna make it look way nicer. So I will be doing that, except that this fold actually goes this way. The bottom of each one is gonna go this way. So you probably don't need to ink, you don't need to ink this bottom fold here, because I don't think you're gonna see it. But all the other fold lines and edges, if you are doing this like I am, then you will want to ink those. So you could just use any old brown as like a cool distressed look, or pick up any color that's in your paper's color palette is also nice. Like if this paper that I was using was like a multicolored floral design, I could just pick like any color from it. If there were like orange, blue, and purple flowers on it, I could pick orange, blue, or purple ink to ink it with, or just brown. So don't be afraid with your inking. If you are gonna do some inking, just grab something that coordinates and just go for it. I think it always looks good. I've never regretted any inking. So the only downside is just the little bit of extra time that it takes, I think. Just like that. So I'll get the side, the bottom, and then the side, the folded side too. So it's also not just about the edge. You can also get it on the edge of the face too, which looks nice if you want. Just let me know in the comments if you are a new inker, or if you've inked before. I'm curious to hear about it. I recently discovered these ink pads on Amazon. Well, recently as in like maybe it's been at least a year. But there was a little while there where there weren't any options that I really liked a lot, because these are nice and convenient. I believe there are other ways of achieving this look with other kind of inking tools, but I just really like the convenience of these little ink pads. You just kind of whip it out and go for it without having any extra tools. It's nice, like no brushes or daubers necessary. Although I wish that I was more versed in other inking techniques, because it seems like there's a lot of cool things you can do with some more in-depth techniques with the inking. So I'll have to get a little more educated on that, and I'll let you know what I find out. Or tell me if you have some more inking skills. I'm highly interested. I used to use color box ink pads, cat's eye shaped ink pads specifically, but they retired and their ink pads were no longer available. So color petal it is for me now. This one I think is the most useful. It's set number 1004, and it's linked on my website on this project's page. So now what I'm going to do is just put some glue on these, and I'll just go one at a time, lining it up really carefully. I'm just lining this one up first and holding it until it's in place. This is still loose here. And then I'll glue that one into place. And there's no tab here because that just makes our lives easier, which is always good. So I love this paper. These colors are so cozy and pretty. So you just want to line up these corners and the whole thing just as nicely as you can. You might have to put on your reading glasses, which, you know, I thought that I was going to get away without ever having trouble reading or seeing up close, because I went for so long without ever needing any reading glasses. I was like, I'm special. I'm going to be the one person who never needs reading glasses. And now suddenly I'm like, why is everything like double and like fuzzy up close? So I guess I'm joining the reading glasses crowd now. Dang it. It's fine. It's totally fine. I'm sure it doesn't help how much time I spend looking at my phone, especially at night when I play Candy Crush. Full disclosure. I don't know, it helps me relax at nighttime to play Candy Crush. And it's certainly not doing me any favors with my vision. But you know, I think I might be addicted. I like little puzzle games like that. For me, it just kind of helps me like clear my mind, I guess. I just zone out and play like a mindless puzzle game. And I know I'm not alone on that. If you have Netflix, they also have some games. I've only tried one of them, but your Netflix subscription comes with access to some mobile games. Like you download the game like a regular game on your phone or tablet, and then you log in with your Netflix account. Like the games are like through Netflix. And I thought that sounded kind of weird, but it's really straightforward. So there's a game that's kind of similar to Candy Crush in that it's like a puzzle game that I like a lot, and it's really cute. It's called Knittens, like K-N-I-T-T-E-N-S, like knitting and kittens. It's really cute and fun too, and relaxing. So if you like puzzle games, and you're a Netflix subscriber. If you're looking for more entertainment, I highly recommend Knittens. It's a lot of fun. There's our lid. Cute, cute, cute. So this just goes on this part, obviously. I feel like if it fits well, it stays on. It's not too tight, it's not too loose. Now we can put our label and our twine. I have some really thin twine, as you can see. I got this a while ago at Michael's, and I like the way this lighter colored one looks. I wrapped it around twice and then tied a bow. So that's pretty easy peasy. This is nice stuff because I feel like twine goes with a lot of looks, especially like anything rustic or vintage. But then this is not as thick as like actual twine, therefore could be like more usable or whatnot. So I need some scissors. Chop. So I didn't measure that, I just eyeballed it by going around once and then doubling it and then doing like a loose version of the bow that I like. So not scientific by any means. And I have way more than I need. Okay. So I think I'll do a double knot here. I don't know, just to keep it from coming undone. There we go. I have like a mental block with bow tying and I have to do like the two bunny ears and then tie them in a knot. What can I say? That's how I learned, and I just, that's it. I think it makes my bows maybe lopsided sometimes, but in this case I think it's okay. These are the parts. I'm gonna put some brown ink on this. I don't know about this. I mean, I could. And on this. So this goes like this, but I'm actually gonna flip it over because my paper is textured, and I'm gonna stamp on this, and I could stamp on the textured paper, it would be fine, but I'm gonna stamp on the smoother side. So for my stamp, I'm actually using this Pumpkin Patch Stamps retired collection that I actually designed a while ago, like 10 plus years ago. I had a couple stamps for sale. And you know, I usually try to use stuff in my new projects that you can still buy in case anybody wants to use the same stamps as me. But I was like, you know what? I keep buying more and more and more and more new stamps that I really don't need just because I'm like, oh, I have to use something new and available. So this time I was like, I'm sorry, this is no longer available. But I'm sure if you have some stamps, if you have some fall stamps or any kind of cute sentiments or anything, I bet you have something that could work in your stash. And if not, I'm sure there's a million cute choices out there too. Actually, the paper, I do take that back because this paper collection that I'm using is Harvest by Cartabella. And I guess I did get the stamps, but they would work. Those would work, but I kind of liked this one for this particular scenario. I liked it a little bit more. So each of these folds so that it can get layered like so-ish. But of course I have to ink everything because I just love the way that it looks. Just on this, it just adds like a little aged vintageness. It's cute. And I always have to say that I learned this technique at a scrapbook store that's no longer around called Archivers. I took a class there with my mom for Valentine's Day a long time ago, and we did this technique where we had just a tiny brown ink pad. And I used to just use my tiny brown ink pad for literally everything, which totally works too. So if you want to get into inking and you can find just a single tiny brown ink pad, then you're going to be golden. And I'm just going to leave the brown because I don't think that would show up very much anyway on this. On my original one, I did like a light sage tealy green, which also looks nice. But I think what I'll do is glue this on. I'm going to do it with the lid on so that I can kind of center it like this. And this can go either way. There's no top or bottom on this piece here. Wait, actually I meant to glue that other one on first, but that's okay. So the most important thing is you want to glue these together while they're folded. If you glue them, if I was to flatten them out and glue them together, the world would still go on, but then when you fold it, it might get slightly weird. So if I'm ever gluing a folded shape on top of another folded shape, I usually glue them folded instead of gluing them flat and then folding them. It's just something that I learned the hard way a long time ago. But again, it would probably be fine. This is so cute and fall-y, or as my mom would say, autumnal. So funny. I mean, it's a good word. My mom uses nice words, and she's from Dallas, so she has some interesting expressions that I didn't realize were not common, especially in like Chicagoland. Until I, was a little older, and then I realized not everyone says, "Stop digging my chili," and stuff like that, so. Okay, that looks awesome. So you can fill it up with some, if you want, some shredded paper. Put some little treats in there. Some stuff that I found locally that could work. Small little pumpkin. I found this at Hobby Lobby. This is at a local like orchard by me called Keller's Farm Stand. They have a little shop inside with some cute little small stuff like this. This would fit in there. So I can't wait to see what you put inside yours too. Thanks so much for crafting along with me. I would love to see how you decorate your jam jar. Every paper choice makes it look brand new. Share a photo if you would like, and until next time, happy crafting.